So let's move now to the third speaker, the second to last this conference. So we come back now after discussing different topics of Southern Asia to Hong Kong with Mr. Kelvin So, that is a project manager for oceans conservation at the WWF of Hong Kong. And today you want to talk about the impact of the scuba divers and how they can, by know more about the protected area around Hong Kong, improve the coral community well-being by being more cautious and careful about different areas. So Kelvin, if you want to present the talk that you bring today.
Yeah, thank you. So let me share the screen first.
Sure.
So can you guys see my?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, cool. Thank you. Okay, so hi everyone. So thank you, Nicholas, and thank you for having me to share our conservation project in the conference. So, and I just want to shout out to all the organizing committees. You guys are amazing. It's not an easy job to organize a virtual conference in this situation. So I'm quite honored that to hear WWF from the previous speakers. It means a lot to us. It means that how our work is influencing and encouraging the scientific movement and conservation. So let me introduce myself first. I'm Kelvin So from WWF Hong Kong. I'm now working as an ocean conservation project manager in WWF to protect our marine biodiversity. I'm now mainly focusing on increasing the protection of important marine habitats and reducing the threats of further degradation by advocating more marine protected area in Hong Kong. So the ultimate target is to designate 30% of Hong Kong waters as MPAs by 2030. So global experience has shown that community stewardship is crucial to the implementation and effectiveness of MPAs. In parallel to our daily work, which has been developing different community-based conservation programs at the selected priority conservation site by WWF Hong Kong. This aims to provide critical bottom-up support to accelerate the advocacy work by both WWF Hong Kong and other NGO partners, complementing the top-down advocacy with government and policymakers. Today, I'm going to share one of our coral conservation projects partnering with the diving industry in 2021 and 2022. Before I get into the citizen science survey result, I would like to share a bit on our project outcomes and how to correlate to the survey result of the citizen science survey. So before launching our project, we have conducted a questionnaire to the Hong Kong divers in January 2021. Finally, we received around 600 responses. One of the highlights is when we asked the respondents, which year is your first started scuba diving in Hong Kong? You can see that more than 70% of the respondents are started since 2016. Especially, there is a rapid increase in 2019 to 2020. So because our survey is conducted in January 2021, so we don't have the updated data, but we can see that because of the COVID-19 outbreak, people are stuck in Hong Kong, right? We are boring, right? So it leads to a rapid development of marine-based tourism. Recreational scuba diving is one of the fastest growing water sports in Hong Kong. So what comes to conservation is response. So as getting diving license becomes popular and the price becomes more affordable, right? More and more people are getting diving license during the summertime. Also, COVID trapped Hong Kong people in Hong Kong, right? We can't go traveling. So quite a lot of people utilize the summertime to conduct diving in Hong Kong and get the diving license so as to wait for the travel and they can go everywhere to go diving. However, Hong Kong does not have a clear guidance for scuba diving training course or recreational diving activities. Lack of regulation may allow overly intensive diving activity at the popular dive site. it may exceeding the carrying capacity of the marine environment and cause habitat degradation and loss of value. So beginner and inexperienced divers with poor buoyancy control may kick corals or other fragile organisms, often unintentionally. I don't think that they want to touch the corals, or they may also cause a sediment suspension, which stress the coral organism. So, Hong Kong has seen an obvious growth in the recreational scuba diving in recent years. This increase in underwater human activity lead to increased damage at popular dive sites, such as the Sharp Island in Sai Kung, where is identified as one of the proposed MPA sites and a really important marine hotspot with the highest coral coverage in Hong Kong. So the typhoid caused damage was leading to the habitat degradation and loss of ecological value. Therefore, WWF Hong Kong initiated a pioneer program partnering with the scuba diving industry. We hope to address the impacts of recreational scuba diving on coral communities and also influence the highly formalized dive training system to incorporate nature-based stewardship and utilize the train-the-trainer concept to embed marine conservation elements into the regular dive training course. We hope to mobilize and raise awareness of the associated diving impact by conducting the presentation topic today, Citizen Science Program, to understand the current threat of the coral communities in Hong Kong. Okay, so I just highlight some of the project highlights in this presentation. So we have invited 70 instructors to join a diving instructor engagement workshop. A training protocol for recreational scuba diving has been discussed and developed in cooperation with the diving communities. And these instructors, we hope to strengthen the application and usability of the protocol. A set of instructor cue card has been produced afterwards. So this could be treated as an extra training materials with the existing dive training operation. So quite a lot of instructors expected that the current diving course do not cover enough marine conservation elements or coral conservation. As a result, the dive trainees, that means the students, may not have awareness of their diving behavior and the related ecological impacts, as they may not have sufficient diving experience and skills to control themselves or their buoyancy. So therefore, a scuba dive training protocol on skills and environmental knowledge are essential to incubate a better ocean-friendly diving behavior. So apart from working with the instructors, we extend our project scope to the instructor's instructor. We work with the instructor trainers, which are the experienced stakeholders in the dive industry, to cover a wide range of diving industry. We invite 20 instructor trainers and course director from the 4 main diving agencies. The most popular one are PADI, SDI, SSI, and NAVI. These meetings share a similar purpose with the previous one, but for a more long-term collaboration between WWF and the diving communities to build up a community stewardship. So these cue cards are the outputs of the engagement meeting. Sorry that I only have the Chinese version here, but if you want to go through the English version, we have a code of conduct for English version in our website. You can scan the QR code. So as different diving agencies like PADI, they have their own dive training cue cards. Therefore, WWF produced a cue card for dive training in WWF version. The first page is the 6 items of dive training protocol, and the second page is the code of conduct for the divers. In terms of the protocol, those engaged 70 instructors will apply this protocol into their operation for raising their students, that means the trainees, awareness on reducing the negative impacts on corals from physical damage. So apart from their training protocol, we have also produced a common coral ID card and basic coral ecological information that are requested by the diving instructors because they would like to know more the information about corals and hope to mention coral conservation in their training operation, so that we just fulfill their wish list. We make this to help them to equip the ecological knowledge. Thanks for the support of Dr. Apple Choi from EACHK to help us to assess the coral ID card and the knowledge is correct. So to ride on the proactive response from the diving industry, and with the support of over 100 diving professionals as role models, right? So we launched a Mind Your Fins campaign. So mind your fins, it's just so direct message. So just mind your fin cake during the diving. To extend our dive training protocol to more than 2,000 dive trainees and divers to equip them with appropriate diving practice to protect the underwater environment and decrease the threat to coral communities. So we invite over 70 instructors to apply our training protocol and distribute the WWF's decided mask strap cover. So you can see this mask strap as a patch to the divers and ask them to post the photos and videos on social media platform. As you know, it's like a snowball promotion because the divers' friends are divers, right? So if they post the photos and videos in the Facebook or Instagram, we can have a rapid promotion synergy on the internet and promote this kind of concept. So I will just stop here about our project highlights. Let's get back to the main dish. The second main highlight of the project is the Citizen Science Scuba Diving Impact Survey. So for this survey, we hope to investigate the diverse potential impacts on coral communities through the direct observation. That means we want to record the actual context with the corals in marine substratum. We also want to understand the diver-specific behavior of the recreational diving activity on the ecological impact and related diving experience through the self-reported questionnaire. The ultimate goal is to find out the differences between perceived and actual diving behavior and the associated factors. So actually, I've conducted similar research in another situation in a clam harvesting issue. So if you want to, we have published the data. So if you want to go through our findings, you can just search this paper in Google Scholar. So actually, I just copied the model and concept into the diving situation. I just want to know, is there any hidden factors to foster this kind of behavioral gap? So, so how to do the survey? So because we are using the citizen science survey, right? So regarding the underwater survey part, 51 citizen scientists who are advanced divers are recruited and we're first trained by one-day lecture provided by Dr. Appletree from CHK and 2 days dive training to understand and standardize the underwater survey method. So finally, a total of 102 divers were randomly selected by the citizen scientists in different diving boats in last diving season from July to November 2021. So direct observation of recreational diving activity during the diving was the main method employed to understand the underwater behavior of a diver. It's like a spy, but actually we have we already told the divers what is our survey. So those divers, those respondents are agreed to join the surveys, but they don't know what actually we are doing. So after the diving survey, the investigator will collect the demographic data, personal data, and diving related experience, and the most important thing, the perceived self-reported number of contact by a questionnaire. All the data are ultimate analysis by WWF staff. Thanks for Matthew, LEUNG, and Lydia Peng, my WWF colleagues, to help on the data analysis and collection. So we will find out the factors to affect the contact number and try to conclude and formulate possible suggestion back to diving industry. I would say this kind of citizen science method helps us a lot because it's not possible for us to collect the large scale of sampling data in underwater, right? It's considered a form of education in which public participation enhance science research, especially the efforts, and first facilitates actual behavioral change via training and outreach. It also serves the purpose of public involvement in scientific research to foster the public behavioral change, because they are also a part of the industry. So we identify 3 potential driven factors which may affect the underwater contact. So I just put down all the potential factors that could be driven by the number of contact. So for each contact, all the contacts will be recorded by the citizen scientists as either intentional and unintentional. So which body part or dive gear is contacted, or even identify the contacted types of marine substratum, such as the rocks, sands, corals. After that, citizen scientists would invite the diver who were being observed underwater to participate the questionnaire and ask them review and report back their perceived contact number. So for the survey, we have divided into 3 stages for our data analysis: descent stage, middle stage, and ascent stage. So in total, there are 102 divers being observed in the survey, and half of them are advanced open water divers. And because of the citizen science survey, all diving level were already covered in the survey due to the large sampling size. So a total of 1,088 actual contacts were observed by the investigators. The average number of contact of a diver is around 11 contacts per dive. However, when we ask the respondent to self-assess their perceived contact, it's only 477 contacts. So the average number of contact per dive is around 5 contacts. So the differences between actual and perceived contacts is 6 times less in perceived contact. So this can estimate that the divers may be estimating their impacts to the ocean. So actually, we can see a significant difference between actual contacts and perceived contacts as well. So, so those photos are the common diving contact with the marine substratum, such as the tiny diving equipment, torch, dive stick, or even fins. So when we look at the contact number on marine substratum, our results show that more than 80% of the contacts are mainly sands and rocks. So how about the contact with corals? So in total, 124 coral contacts are observed, comprising 11% of the total contacts. The major affected coral is the plate-form coral, like the Perforna decossata. So it's quite common. It's a common coral in the shallow water in Hong Kong. So you can see the package of the coral colony. This finding is consistent with the survey results in 2021 from Professor Anput of CUHK, chartered by WWF Hong Kong in Hai Hao Wan and Sharp Island. The coral package of Perforna in the shallow water are now threatening by the human activity like snorkeling, kayaking, and even scuba diving. So when we just look at the contact body part and the dive equipment, hand and fins were occupied 70% of the total contacts. For the others, include elbow, waist belt, and even air tanks. So we further extract the data, the first 3 body parts, and divide into 2 parts, 2 groups, intentional and unintentional. So intentional contacts were those that the diver were clearly aware of, such as their hands on the corals to stabilize themselves. Other than those that were clearly intentional were considered unintentional. It's not hard to find out that the majority of contacts with hands are the intentional. Study found that divers taking underwater photos touch seabed more frequently than those who were not. So because they might rely on other objects to keep balance in underwater to keep their buoyancy control. So how about the number 1 unintentional contacts? The majority of unintentional contacts are fins. So you can see that our Mind Your Fins campaign are still capable to raise divers' awareness to avoid contacts with corals. So we will continue this campaign in the coming summer to raise awareness, public awareness. So when we look into the context happening in which stage, it's no doubt that the middle period contains the largest group of content. So it makes sense. But we should put focus on stage 1 and stage 3. Typically, stage 3 is the milder contact, because divers would not intentionally kick the coral when they ascend from the bottom to the top. We should focus on the descent stage, because there is a significant difference between the descent and ascent stage. So, and then we further extract the number of unintentional contacts in stage 1. So, into different diving certificate level. We found that there is a decreasing trend from higher diving level. So, open water diver is the lowest level in the certificate, and all the way to the diving instructors. So we can see that diving skills and buoyancy control are much better than having a higher diving certification. So, and then we further, as a result, we try to do the grouping analysis. Open water divers had the highest FH contest. When we try to do the grouping analysis and see if there is any significant difference, taking reference from the PADI certification level, actually, all diving agencies are similar. The horizontally and top blue column is the recreational and basic diver levels from open water divers to the rescue diver. And the professional level from the black color are from dive master all the way to course directors. What is the data? So when we divide the data into 2 groups, we found the rescue diver or below had a significant difference from the dive master or above. It's around 12 contacts per dive. And the dive master or above contains only 6 contacts per dive. It's twice as between. The reason could be the dive master or above may have a better body control and diving experience. According to the diving course curriculum, dive master or above certification have marine ecology subject, so which may lead to a better ocean literacy level. So it's consistent from our questionnaire about the environmental awareness. The data analysis related to the context are already highlighted. Regarding the environmental awareness, dive master and instructors also have a better awareness level than the rescue divers or below. Therefore, dive certification could be a starting point to add more coral conservation related content to the diving course. In fact, PADI has a coral reef conservation specialty. Under Project Aware, if you know, this is a conservation project under PADI for all levels of divers to participate if they want to. Maybe it could be a way out to add more conservation course content into the dive training course. So today I don't have time to go through all the data. Maybe it could be a publication in the future, but by understanding the diverse behavioral patterns will help us to develop a more suitable dive training strategy. The result and recommendation will be distributed to the diving industry and the instructors. So we hope to promote myofins to the diving industry, as most of the divers are having the highest unintentional contacts by fins. We hope to remind the instructors to remind the dive trainees to mind the finning position, avoid cycling or kick the bottom, and better to control the neutral buoyancy, and even apply advanced kicking techniques for kick to decrease the impact to the corals. So, and one way forward, we will also want to raise the awareness on the descent stage. The descent stage has more unintentional contacts than the ascent stage. Evidence on diver has less caution during the descent stage. Therefore, we will share to the diving instructor to set up the reference line for divers to slow down the speed of descent, and they should aware on the substrate while descending. If divers notice the corals or other marine organisms on the substrate, they should avoid landing on them. So that concludes my presentation. However, I would like to quickly summarize the main point. So this survey aims to investigate the potential impacts of the recreational divers on the coral communities and support a better conservation actions and diving cost enhancement with the diving industry. WWF will continue to build up the community stewardship with the diving industry in a bottom-up approach and raise the divers' awareness to incubate ocean-friendly behavior. So that brings us to the end. I would like to thank you for your time and attention today. Thank you for listening. See if you guys have any question on our survey or our project. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your presentation. Really didactic and informative. And I'm pretty sure people like this summer or in the few months that are coming, when people will go back to public activities and, like you say, outdoors and diving, I'm pretty sure this project will grow and people will, because it's aimed to, people will communicate, like you say, you touch different school of scuba divers, so the word will be spread, and it's quite a good operation that you're building now. So yeah, thank you for this project. So let's see if we have different questions. So we have two questions. The first one, have there been any tries to regrow the corals here in Hong Kong? Like some countries are stowing old ships, so coral can grow on it.
So actually, as far as I know Dr. Apple Choi from Chinese University of Hong Kong and Dr. David Baker from HKU, they are doing the coral restoration project in different approach. So as a citizen science program, as far as I know, there's no any this kind of project in Hong Kong right now. But WWF Hong Kong is seeking the potential cooperation or opportunities to cooperate with those universities to see if we can conduct some of the pilot coral restoration project in WWF Center. As you know, we have a Marine Life Center in Hoi Ha Wan. And actually, AFCD, the government department, is having coral restoration project with the university to see if there's any potential to conduct this in Hong Kong. So I know in other places like Maldives, Indonesia, or Philippines, coral restoration is quite common in that area. But in Hong Kong, because of the visibility and the sedimentation level, coral restoration has faced quite a lot of threats on that and challenge. So yeah.
Okay, and then a second question, quite connected to this one. Could we restrict the regions for diving according to the level of different diving expertise, for example?
Sorry, can you repeat your question?
To restrict the area of diving depending the level of expertise of the divers, like the open oceans, the open water divers could not access where we have the, like you say, Sharp Island.
So actually, Sharp Island is the I would say is a hospital of diver in Hong Kong, because most of the divers, if they are learning diving in Hong Kong, Sharp Island is the first place to go. So because due to the accessibility, it just takes maybe 15 minutes from Saigon Pier to Sharp Island, and due to the sandy bottom substrate, it's a really popular dive training site in Hong Kong. So I would say because of the lack of regulation for the scuba diving in Hong Kong, so we are afraid that if the diving industry keep developing and going rapidly, if there is lack of regulation, it may cause some environmental degradation if people just go Sharp Island to conduct their diving. So I would say it would be great if we can implement more coral conservation elements to the dive training course, because I would say, I believe all the divers, they love ocean so that they go diving, right? So if they can equip their knowledge more earlier so that they can conserve the environment as soon as possible. Because as far as I know, quite a lot of divers cannot recognize and identify rocks and corals. So sometimes they will just touch on the corals because they think it's rock. So it can be a problem. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a nice opportunity to teach them. Yeah, like you say, sometimes they don't even know if they are properly hurting because it looks like wood or stone,
Yeah.
so they don't really think they are hurting so whatsoever. So, but thank you for
Thank
the
you.
to answer our questions, and we will move to the last speakers for today. Thank you, Kelvin, for coming today.
Thank you.
And